It's my pleasure to be talking to you today on democracy and the various approaches to it. In my presentation, I will discuss three arguments. First, I would argue that the United States of America is in no position whatsoever to be the cardinal arbiter of what is democracy and whether a certain political system is democratic or otherwise. Second, I would argue that the existing political system in the United States of America is far from democratic and is incapable of reform. Third, I would argue that a democracy based on human development is far more responsive to the well-being of humanity and than that is of the Western-style democracies as promoted and marketed by the United States of America. The USA was established by colonialists who stole lands that were not rightfully theirs and committed a very large number of genocidal massacres against the native inhabitants. Afterwards, the United States enslaved and forcibly transferred hundreds of thousands of human beings from Africa to exploit them in forced labor and to accumulate great riches. Later, the United States engaged itself in a series of expansionist wars against its neighbors that led to the illegal occupation and annexation of Florida, Texas, and California. This was followed by a very long list of wars against a very large number of nations, an average of one war launched by the United States of America in every 2 to 3 years. The explanation behind this cruel and savage political system lies in the fact that the United States was governed by an elite of rich farmers, wealthy industrialists, mining barons, and oil tycoons. These elite had total control over the economic life and the public discourse that evolved at a later stage to become the mass media. This total control enabled the elite to serve and nurture its own interests. One major way of furthering their interests was through engaging their country in a series of perpetual wars and conflicts, justified by false pretexts and prevarications. With every war, the ruling military, industrialist, oligarchs enjoyed phenomenal growth of their wealth and influence, while young Americans, mostly underprivileged and poor, would sacrifice their lives in the sinister cycle of killing and getting killed. All in the name of the universal values of freedom, democracy, and human rights. In the United States, actually there is only one party that rules, the party of the rich and powerful. This party has two right wings, the Republican and the Democrat. But essentially, there is no difference between them. They are two faces of the same coin. In order to make the United States a democracy, the US Constitution itself must change. Indeed, the US Constitution was framed and designed to thwart the democratic aspirations of most of the American people. The Electoral College of the United States means that in the US democracy, states with only 23% of the population have enough votes at the Electoral College to determine who will become the next president of the United States. And I repeat here, only 23% of the population can actually determine the outcome of the presidential elections in America. This is an utterly true fact. Another major flaw in the United States democracy stems from the fact that the United States Senate is a highly undemocratic institution. This unrepresentative and unfair institution that distributes the seats in an unlogical way among states aim at guaranteeing that these seats are occupied by a privileged club of the wealthy, white, Protestant, socially conservative, and traditionalist elite. To further consolidate their grip on power, the founding fathers of America made any political changes or reforms virtually impossible. The United States Constitution is immune to change. Amendments are legendarily difficult to introduce to the Constitution. All U.S. senators and most of the representatives in the U.S. Congress are members of the richest 1% social group in America. They come from that group when they are elected, and they are kept in office by the money from the top 1%. And they know that if they serve the interests of the top 1%, they will be rewarded by the top 1% when they leave office. The simple, albeit fundamental fact is that democracy is a concept which continuously evolves and develops to reflect various levels and stages of human social development, political context, and economic conditions. This means that there is no single path or unique recipe for democracy. Other developing countries may embrace the principle of an all-encompassing human social development pattern that offers the population a far better effective governance system than offered by Western-style democracies. Indeed, these countries realize that political stability and long-term sustainability of development plans, strategies, and visions necessitate an alternative approach to democracy. Their democratic paradigm is mainly based on achieving lofty development objectives that cover every aspect of human development: people's well-being, education, poverty alleviation, health, job opportunities, science and technology, culture, and the paramount focus on the needs of the people. They realize that they can only attain their vision of democracy through being a part of a world community of partnership, cooperation, and free exchange of ideas and values. After all, they believe in a shared future for humanity. All of humanity, not the select few. Thank you very much for your time.